Hello everyone, this is Jack from the Video Jack, and today we are in Adobe Premiere Pro for a little bit of a 101 tutorial about how to use Adobe Premiere Pro and how to get started with editing videos. For those wondering, this is Adobe Premiere Pro CC, the most up-to-date version, and yeah, today we are going to be looking at importing videos, how to cut videos, how to remove audio from videos, how to edit the audio in the videos with the audio clip mixer, adding in transitions and maybe even some effects to the audio and video. And finally, at the very end of the video, we're going to be looking at a little bit of a more advanced technique known as the multicam. So without further ado, I think we should just get into it. So when you first open your project, it'll just be here. There's no media imported yet. There's absolutely nothing. It is a bare slate. Your setup might look a little bit different to mine, as I have kind of moved all of these around to get it looking pretty much how I want to. As I'm using only one screen for this project, I have my program over here. Normally, because I edit on two screens, I would normally have the little bit over here. I would have that on the second screen so it can be bigger and I can see a little bit more in detail. But since I'm using one monitor, we'll just keep it this way. So the first thing you'll want to do is import your media, obviously. Now there are two ways you can do this. You can either press Ctrl-I, or you can just double click the import media to start. We'll just dump in this raw footage from this raw gameplay footage right here, and see, now there we go. It'll tell you the frame rate, the media start, the media end, media duration, all that beautiful stuff. So what we want to do is we want to drag this into the timeline. As you can see there, it's made a sequence, and yes, here we go. So here's our video up here, here is our sequence. The sequence now has a name, and the sequence is also up here. So this is essentially what you'll be doing whenever you want to do anything in Premiere. You will be double clicking or Control-I to importing your media or audio or whatever it is, and then dropping it into the timeline. Like say, we'll go here. Say we wanted to put an image in. We just grab the image, there we go. And then you would drag it and drop on top. And there's our image just sitting comfortably up there. However, we don't need that image, or at least we don't need it at the moment. I might just keep it sitting there in case, I don't know, I want to use it to demonstrate a point or anything like that. So, first thing, cutting videos. That'll probably be the thing you are doing the most in Adobe Premiere, because one of the main things about editing videos is cutting and, you know, shifting stuff around and making it look how you want it to look. So if you want to cut your video, you can see that you have a nice little help bar over here, a nice little toolbar. And if we come over to here, we have the razor tool. And as you can see, you can also get to the razor tool by pressing the C key. So if we click on that, and we have this little razor here that we can slide along our timeline over our video and choose where we want to make the cut. So we'll drag the little timeline over here. Note the timing on top of the timeline here. You can stretch the bar to make the timing longer or shorter. So if you want to get a really fine detail for a cut, you would make obviously this a lot shorter so that your window of time is a lot finer. Or if you're not really bothered, you can kind of stretch it out so you can see how long the video goes in its entirety, because this video spans along 20 minutes. We have to zoom out quite far to actually see everything. So we'll zoom back into about, how did we have it? We had it at 15 seconds. Yeah, we had it about there. That looks about right. So we can scroll along here, and what you'll notice is if you scroll it anywhere pretty much near the little indicator here, the little thing that shows you where you are in the video, it'll kind of just magnetize towards it, and it'll just jump straight there. So if you don't want to zoom in super close to get the fine cutting right, you could scroll this along, find the frame that you want to cut it on, and then just click there. And as you can see, we have cut our video into two little sections. Now if you want to get your normal cursor back, you can come back up here to the selection tool, or you can just press V. Personally, I prefer to use the keyboard shortcuts, but at the moment, because I have a microphone in my face at the moment, I don't really want to reach around it and try and hit the keyboard too much. So other tools that we have on here is we have the track select forward and track select backwards tool, which jump you around the timeline of it. So you can jump these back that way, or turn these back this way. Just Control Z that to get everything back the way it was. And then after that, you have the ripple edit tool, which will basically, if we grab here, it will move this clip further into there. However, because they are the same video, it won't work as well. I think if I do it this way, yeah, if I do it that way, it'll work. So it stretches the video out and then pushes this video back a bit more. We'll once again Control Z to undo that. Then after that, we have the rolling edit tool. So if we click on that rolling edit tool, you can bring it this way, and I'll bring it that way to edit along, similar to the ripple edit tool. Then we come down to the stretch tool, which kind of actually, I'm not 100% sure what this tool actually does. It looks like it does similar to what editing, to what dragging the stuff along actually does. Like, as you can see, if we're just using the selection tool, we can extend or shorten this clip a little bit here, and then we can drag that back to where it was. Now, as you can see, actually, the bar at the top has changed from being yellow to being red. What the yellow bar means is that the base settings for the sequence match what the video is, and red means that it is not properly rendered yet. If it is green, it means that it is fully rendered and it's ready to go. But normally, if it's on yellow, I like to keep it. I actually like to do it in yellow because sometimes rendering for longer videos can take a long time, and if the base settings already match what you're doing in the video, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, then we have the razor tool, we have the slip tool, the slide tool, the pen tool, the hand tool, and the zoom tool. Now that we've done all that and looked through all the tools, what we will do is we'll actually look at how to detach the video and the audio. So as you can see, at the moment, the video and the audio are one in the same. I can't select one without the other being selected as well, and that's the same for this one here. So what I'll actually do is I'm going to remove that video for the time being, because we can mess around with just this little clip here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to right click this bit here, and you can see that there is the unlink. If you click unlink, there you go. So you can then move that independently, move that over here, move that all the way to the end of the timeline if you wanted to. It basically frees the audio and the video from one another, making them separate tracks and not being connected. If you want to put them back together, just link them again, and there you go. There is your video and your audio back together. This is really useful, especially when you are looking at doing multicamming stuff. It's really useful because what will happen is if the audio and video are one and the same track, normally what will happen is then if you're using multicam and you change the video, the audio will cut out. So if it's say you're doing an interview or something like that, and you want to cut between the interviewee and the interviewer, but you don't want to lose what the interviewee or the interviewer is saying, what you would do is you would come here, you'd unlink the tracks, so then when you're multicamming, the video would change, but the audio would not, and the audio would stay perfectly fine. But for the sake of this, we are going to link them back up again because it's just easier at the moment. So if you bring your eyes up to the top a little bit here, we have the audio clip mixer. So this is basically what you do what you use to change the volume of the audio for your clip. So by default, it is set at 0, and that doesn't mean that your track is silent. It just means that it is no louder or no quieter than how it was when you originally recorded it. If you then put your video into Premiere and you realize that, oh, my audio's a lot quieter than I actually thought it would be when I was actually recording it, you can then boost it up. Unfortunately, it only goes up to 6, so if it's really quiet and 6 isn't enough, you are kind of limited in that regard. The next best option would probably be to just try and turn up your system volume as much as you can when you want to play the video. On the other side, if you watch your video and go, wow, the audio is really, really blown out at these certain sections, what you can do is then you can just drop it down into the negatives, which doesn't mean that you have negative sound, it just means that it is quieter than how it was when you originally began. So we'll set this back to 0. And to show a little bit of demonstration, we will cut once again. I'm using the keyboard shortcuts now, just out of habit. So as you can see, they're both still set at 0, 0, but what we're going to do is we're going to turn this one up to 3, and we're going to drop this one down to 6. Negative 6, actually. So negative 6. There we go. So as you can see, because these are two separate tracks now, the audio clip mixer has different settings. So we go from being louder than it started to being quite quieter. So if we just let that play, I'm not sure how well the audio will be, but there is probably, I can't hear it at the moment, but I'm assuming there is probably a noticeable change in the audio. And you can also see the, if we play it, you can see the little bars here. There is a noticeable dip when you go back and forth. So that's something really useful. It's used a lot more when you are editing audio tracks, because like if you have two people talking and one person is noticeably louder than the other, you want them to both be on level, so you can either bump the person who's quieter up, or if that doesn't work, you can try bumping them up and turning the other person down a little bit as well. So we have got two separate video clips here again. Why don't we try and get a nice little transition in between them? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch this out and bring this over a little bit so that they're actually different video clips and they're not just one of the one and the same. I say one and the same, but basically, like, there was no noticeable difference between them. Now, if we jump back and forth, there's much greater difference. We're here, and oh my god, what the hell is this thing? So yes, what we're going to do now is we're going to add a nice little transition to the video, because who doesn't love transitions? It makes your video look nicer, and it doesn't have the jarring effect that this does, because we're going here and then pop. So yeah, it doesn't have the jarring sort of effect that does. It adds a nice little smooth way that you can transition between your videos. So if you come over to the effects window over here, you can see video transitions. We have a lot to choose from. We have 3D motion, we have dissolves, we have iris, we have page peel, we have slides, we have wipes, we have zooms. Oh my goodness, we have so many options. Personally, I really like dissolves, and especially the cross dissolve. It is a very basic transition, but it is a very effective transition. It's not flashy, it's not, something you're going to see in a major motion picture or anything like that, but it works. It does its job, and it is very good at what it is supposed to do. And it's probably the most commonly used transition. I was going to say dissolve, but it's probably the most used transition in Premiere for just that reason. It's simple, it's effective, and it works really well. So there are two ways that you can add a dissolve. Specifically, there is a keyboard shortcut, obviously, but then there is also dragging and dropping it from the menu. So as you can see, we can add it to the very beginning, or we can add it to the very end, or we can add it to the in-between section right here. And more often than not, it will basically, if I can zoom in, it will insert itself like that, so it dissolves on both sides. Sometimes it'll be a bit fiddly and it'll only dissolve on one side and not the other. Normally how I found that is I'll delete that dissolve and put in a new dissolve, and 9 times out of 10 that'll fix the problem. If it doesn't fix the problem, sometimes putting the video back in again, or making sure the videos are actually next to each other, because sometimes, like, the video, just for an example, sometimes the video could possibly be out here, but when you come out here, it's not overly apparent. I mean, it's kind of apparent, you can kind of see the black a little bit there, but like, it's not always 100% apparent. So just make sure that your videos are like that, and when you drop your cross dissolve in, bada boom, there it is. So what that does is, when we are transitioning, has a nice little just a nice little dissolve across the page, so it doesn't it's nowhere near as jarring, and it just feels very natural. In the same way, you can add dissolves to the beginning and the end of your videos. So you come in from black and you start, and then when your video ends, it just fades off nicely. It gives a nice natural feel to the videos, and it makes it look really good. But that's only on the videos. Sometimes you want audio transitions as well, because you could be talking about something and then you move on to another topic and you want to be talking about that. So how do we add audio transitions? Well, if we close the video transitions and go to the audio transitions, you have the crossfades. These are the only audio transitions you can use, and they are essentially cross dissolves for audio. The one that I use most commonly is constant power, or I sometimes also use exponential fade for the ending of videos, not so much for the beginning or middle parts, because I just feel like constant power is a little bit better suited for that, and more often than not I'll use constant power for the end of videos anyway. But sometimes exponential fade could be more what you want than constant power. So in the same way we did the cross dissolve, we grab the constant power and we drop it in there, and just like we had before, it can do both sides. So we'll drop those 3 in again, and actually what we'll do as well is we will just quickly add a cross dissolve to each of the videos, so it all neatly lines up with one another. Alright, there we go, and we'll hit play. So there the video and audio is dissolving together, and there we go. Sounds a lot more natural that time, because before we had this little dissolve here, it sounded very blunt and, you know, not very didn't sound clean. It sounded like too abrupt and too not rushed, but yeah, not nice enough, not clean enough. And so then obviously at the end of the video as well, video nicely cuts out, and it's very nice. So like I said, there are two ways to add dissolves. There are dragging and dropping them from the menu, or there is a keyboard shortcut. It's not readily apparent either what this keyboard shortcut is, unlike your handy dandy toolbar to the right there. So if you want to add a dissolve to just the video, you go Control D, and as you can see, there it is. It adds 3 cross dissolves for each section where the video transitions. If I only chose this side, then actually I'll just go back. If I only chose this side, it would only be for the very beginning, but because I chose all 3, it adds it for all of them. Now, as you can see, I also added the audio dissolves then. Also, quick note, the dissolve that it chooses will be the one that is highlighted in blue here. So it is, which basically means it's your default dissolve. So I have the cross dissolve for my default, and because the crossfade is the only one you've got, I have my constant power set to my default. So when I use my keyboard shortcut, that's just the one that jumps in. So to do this, Control D was for the video, and then Shift D does it for audio and video. So it's essentially just a lot easier because 9 times out of 10 you will want your cross dissolves for your video and audio to be at the same time. Shift D adds it to both of them perfectly fine. So that is basically a quick guide into adding transitions. You could add a bunch of different ones. Like I said, there's 3D motion. You can have a cube spin or a flip over. If you want to just chuck that in real quick, we can we'll do the cube spin because that looks kind of funky. You can kind of see it in motion there. We want it on both. There we go. So there you go. It does actually, if you notice, it does actually distort the video in a way. Like, I guess it's also because like the images on each side are similar, but as you can see, it almost distorts the video a little bit too much for my liking. So dissolves are normally what I'll end up using. But yeah, that is basically how you want to add in transitions to your videos, and how you can use keyboard shortcuts to add in the default dissolves, and how you can make it look very nice. Also, what you can also do is if you come over here and new and zoom in, you can extend the length of your dissolve. So if I wanted my constant power and cross dissolve to be at the same time, then I would have to move that up a bit. Or if I wanted the cross dissolve to start before the audio started syncing out, I would bring it here. Also, doing this extends the length of your cross dissolve, so now instead of it being a little bit faster, it takes a lot longer to go through. It's all up to personal preference, all this sort of stuff. So if you want the cross dissolve to be really quick at the end, you could just do that and it just drops that straight away. Or if you wanted it to take its time and, you know, be a little bit more slow when it bleeds out, then you could also do that. Same with the very beginning, and same with in the middle. So that is basically all I wanted to say for transitions at the moment. So I think we are going to hop into using a little bit of multicam settings. So this was a lot of basic techniques at the moment. And the next kind of technique we're going to be looking at is a little bit more advanced, but it's not too hard. It's an advanced technique, but it's probably one of the easiest advanced techniques to learn for using Premiere, and it's very, very useful, but not in every situation. But in the situations that you do need to use it, it is a lot easier than the alternatives. So if you will give me a moment, we will hop into using the multicam. Alright, so we are back in here with a different sequence this time. This time we are going to be looking at the multicam settings. So as you can see, I've got 2 videos and 2 audio tracks set up here. And what I'm going to want to do now is, say I want to interchange between the 2 audio tracks. I'm going to mute, I'll mute that one. Also, oh yeah, I should have explained earlier. So you have a couple of tools that you have on this side as well. The snap tool is what caused the, as you can see now that I've turned snap tool off, the razor tool no longer snaps to the time bar here, but if I turn it back on, snaps back. So I like to leave snap on because normally like it never really interferes with what I'm doing, but I can understand why some people might not want to have it on. You also have your muting, so you can mute your tracks. You can also solo the track so that that's the only one playing. You also have these here that stop video showing, so I can stop that one showing and instead it shows the one down the bottom, or I could stop that one showing and neither of them are shown, or I can turn them off and it'll show the one that is up the top. Also, you have these locking tools so that you can't move them anymore. Fun fact though, if you lock a video thing and then move its audio, it will show you how far out of time you have gone from your original starting point. So that's pretty useful. So what we are going to do is we're actually going to unlink the videos and we're going to delete those two. We're going to delete, there we go, those two audio tracks. So we're only left with the video because this is going to make this process a lot easier because that way we don't have clashing audio or anything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the multicam. So say I wanted to interchange between these two videos fairly frequently. This is a scenario you'd run into probably if you were, say, doing, like, to use the example from earlier, doing an interview, cutting between the interviewee and the interviewer if you had different cameras on each person, and you wanted to cut between them. This is a much easier way of doing that than the alternative, which is cutting where you want to stop the video, then putting in the other video, and trying to sync all that up. It's just a nightmare. Trust me, I have, initially, before I learned about multicamming, that's how I did some of my videos with multiple screens and commentary, and it was just not fun. It was no fun whatsoever. So with this method, hopefully you'll be able to do it with a lot more ease. The reason I removed the audio as well is because what I would normally do is then sync the audio to the video, cut it all, so then the video and stuff is already synced, so then I would just copy the audio, and after I show you what I'm about to do, we would just paste the audio back in. So what you're going to do is you're going to come here and you are going to click on your little sequence here. You're going to right click on it and you are going to, you want new sequence from clip. Ta-da! So as you can see, we have now got our video and audio again. I'm not actually sure how that's sounding. Oh wait, yeah, there's no audio, so there's going to be no audio playing, is there? Yeah, it's all nice and silent. So there is also, though, still the videos. The two videos are still there, but it's only one video track. So where is the other video? Well, if we go, I believe here, and we go to clip, multi-camera, and then we click enable, it now says MC1. So then you come up here to this little settings thing here, and you go down to, where is it? Composite video, and you click on multi-camera, and the two clips are here. So as you can see, we'll play the video for a little bit. You can see here they are both moving at different paces. So that one's moving and that one's moving, and you can cut in between them. And as you just saw, my as I was cutting in between them, it wasn't doing it like in real time, but as I was cutting in between them, it was making cuts for me. So as you can see, I cut to there, it stays on that one for a while, cut back, cut back, cut back. And yeah, so you end up with all these really really cool looking cuts. What's just happened? Oh, okay, no, I haven't gone back too far yet. So yeah, this is a really useful technique for especially when you are dealing with multiple video tracks and multiple audio tracks as well, because it doesn't cut the audio tracks, or well, it does cut the audio tracks, but if you have something like commentary or you have people talking, you probably want to be putting the audio tracks down here as separate audio tracks, not as part of this audio track, because then you run the risk of, when you switch between videos, you are going to end up cutting the audio as well, and you don't want that. So it's better, yeah, to use microphones. Oh, saving a project, thank you very much. So it is better to record your audio with microphones, not what we're also recording your video with, and then just dropping them down here so you can edit them at your leisure. But I think that is about all that we are going to cover in today's video. Thank you guys very much for checking this out. I hope it has at least helped you a little bit with getting you started in Adobe Premiere Pro. If you have any other questions about anything I've discussed in this video, please sound off in the comments, and I will be sure to read every single comment and respond to them. And who knows, if a question is asked enough times, I might address it in a future video. What I'm thinking about doing for the next video is looking at doing in-video effects and editing videos while they're like happening. So like doing a little bit of stuff with keyframing and the stuff you can do with that, because the stuff you can do with keyframing is actually pretty cool. So yeah, we will be looking at that next time, and we might also be looking at maybe doing some stuff with the video effects over here, like I want to look at doing blurs, some color correction, some distorts. Those are always fun. And also, I believe there's, what's the other one? Oh yeah, no, yeah, distorts. Oh yeah, color correction and that sort of stuff. So yeah, all that sort of stuff will be covered in the next video. So thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to also check out the website, the Video Jack. The link will be in the description, as long as the Twitter and Instagram accounts as well. And be sure to check all those out as well for updates, and also for photography shoots, which there will be some videos on this channel about photography in the future as well. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.